everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about being a part of Flagler County. So today I'm super excited to have my guest, Thaddeus, with us today. Thaddeus, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Of
It was
course.
lovely to
Well,
be here.
oh, thank you so much. Well, I'll give everyone just a really quick context because this is actually really, really funny. So Thaddeus and I, we've not necessarily known each other for a long time, but we've seen each other, I think, on social media a lot and vice versa. We've met a few times at different networking events. I'm always
Yeah.
hearing his name, so I'm super glad that he's able to come on this podcast. And fun fact for anyone listening, the day that we're recording this, like he just interviewed me like 2 hours ago for his social media. And now we're flipping the switch. I get to interview him for a little bit. So I'm just super excited to have someone like him on the podcast sharing a few different things that he's doing. He doesn't do just one thing, he does a few different things. So, and has done a lot of interesting things. So I'll let him kick it off and start and just kind of tell me a little bit about your journey coming here to Flagler and how long has that been? And if you kind of want to share a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so I am from St. Louis originally. I grew up there, wasn't born there, but you could pretty much say St. Louis is my only experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the mistake of going into law enforcement in St. Louis. Which if you know anything about St. Louis and law enforcement, it's a dangerous town, you might
Is
say.
it? Okay.
Yeah. So 12 years in law enforcement, last 2 years as a detective. And needless to say, it was really hard on the family.
Mm-hmm.
Just like here, I'll give you an example. My wife, she was calling me one day and she was watching TV at the same time and she sees me run across the screen carrying a rifle. And she's like freaking out now because she didn't know I was on the scene of a homicide. And there I am on TV, not answering my phone. So just incidents like that really
Yeah,
caused us, yeah. So incidents like that really just caused us as a family unit to want to get away from that
sure.
and move here to Florida. So
Yeah.
my wife is from Florida. She's really originally from Flagler Beach, and so her family's here. So that's really what brought us down. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
get away. This is our
Yeah.
Mexico.
It was similar for us. It was between this and Mexico for our family as well. So there you go. We have that in common.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Well, that's a super interesting background. I don't know a lot about St. Louis, I guess, from that perspective, but thanks for sharing. Now I know. Don't go into law
Yeah.
enforcement in St. Louis. I
Mm-mm.
wasn't planning on it, and now I know that I should not plan on it, of course.
No, no. Yeah.
Well, so you're here in Flagler. You've been here. You told me you've been here for about 2 years as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Two
Yeah.
years. We moved here. It was quite interesting, actually. So I was a detective at the time, and my wife, our whole relationship has been wanting to get back here to Florida.
Mm,
She got recruited by Brown Shoe when she was at UF, and they moved her around a couple of times. And we met in St. Louis. But during our whole relationship, she's like, "Can we move to Florida? Can we move to Florida?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." But I was always just like, "Yeah, sure, we can go." And the last time she asked, I was actually at a meeting of some sort. It was a lunch thing. I was a detective. I don't know if we were meeting with a prosecutor. I don't know. But she calls me on the phone. I think it's an emergency. So I answer, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "Can we go to Florida?" I'm like, yeah, sure." And within 1 month, we're down here.
wow.
It was the craziest thing. It was like God moved
Yeah.
everything in place. She didn't have a job at the time when she was calling, but she found a job, interviewed for the job. They pay relocation expenses, and we're down here, and it was just
Wow.
boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah,
crazy. Isn't
hmm
it it's so interesting when we kind of listen and we keep our ear to the ground and we listen to what God's telling us to do and the doors that just like they it's not even like they open, it's like they just are completely wide open, and all the
yeah,
things start falling into place. It's insane. It was pretty similar when we moved here too. It's like we just kind of found all of the things that we were looking for, all of the criteria perfectly, and we were like, well, I think this is a sign. This is, something he's telling us to do. We should listen and keep going. So that's
yeah.
awesome.
I agree, and it's like sometimes when we doubt, we look back at the circumstances of how we got here. It's like God had His hand all over that, and I just really love
Right.
that.
Yeah, hindsight is so 2020. There are so many instances where I'm like, why is this happening? Why am I going through this? And then I look back in a few years, I'm like, oh, that's why. I understand now,
Yeah, yeah,
it's kind of like, oh, well, I have to admit defeat. Like, God was right. I should always
yeah,
listen, even when I don't
yeah,
want to. It makes sense.
right.
But so you're known around here as kind of like the solar avenger. Do you kind of want to talk me
Yeah,
through that of like how you got into
sure.
solar, and then
Yeah.
how the name came about as well?
Yeah, so I got into solar. The short story is I applied to over 170 jobs when I came here. So to
Wow.
backtrack, yeah, so to backtrack, I came down with here without a job. But I think I was a little prideful in that I was like, okay, shoot, I had 12 years in law enforcement, I'm a decorated police officer, uh, cool detective. I've never had a complaint in my career, right? It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And me and my wife, we both thought that, but we came down here and that wasn't really what happened. And I prayed a really stupid prayer. I don't recommend this to anyone. I prayed that God would close every door that wasn't right for me and my family. And it got weird. Like I was applying to security jobs. I applied to Bucky's multiple times. Like I just want to work. Come on now. Like, because I couldn't sit at the house anymore. And it was just like doors close, close, close. Solar was the really only one that kind of opened for me. I didn't know anything about solar. I'm from the Midwest. There's not a lot of solar there. I thought it was just the people hugging trees, whatever. But I got into the space and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the fact that I could literally help people day one with their electric costs, but also at the same time, it's something good for the environment.
Hmm.
So I was with a solar company, which was more, they had more direction over kind of what I could do, their trademark and all that stuff, right? And I ended up leaving that company because it was a lot for me and my family. I think I was working like 70, 80 hours a week. I was always on the road because they would provide leads. Well, by providing leads, I was subservient to those leads. So, oh,
Mm.
hey, yeah, you got a lead you might not know, but an hour before that appointment, oh shoot, I got a lead. It's at 8 p.m. That sucks. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I was just running all over the place, and I ended up leaving them to go to Power, which a lot of people will think Power, but it's not. It's Powur. So
Oh,
don't ask me how to spell it. Why they chose that, but really, what it came down to when I got to Power is there was no leads. It's more like a franchise you might think of it as,
sure.
or like Uber. So it's all on me. And so I was like, how do I do this? And I like comic books, specifically like the Marvels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched all those movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So I was like, ooh, I like the Avengers. And so one of the things I heard really early on is you need to brand yourself.
Right.
I'm like, I like comics, the Solar Avenger. And then I created like the whole comic superhero type thing because it's easy to remember and just kind of took off from there. I really don't have any background in
Hmm.
social media. Like it's funny if people go back and they look at my social media, I don't really exist before July of last year. And it's just
Nice.
all over the last year. So yeah,
That's
that's how it
awesome.
came.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think social media is one of those things. I think because of the ever evolving nature of it, I think it's almost impossible to call yourself like a social media expert of all things. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, don't get me wrong, there are things that you should know, and there are things like hacks that are make your life easier. But it's really one of
Yeah.
those things where, you want to be a genuine person on social media. You don't want to just be like, this is the best way the algorithm can play. It's like, no, I feel like, especially what I've done with my social media, is just kind of like continuing to share genuine parts of myself, authentic parts of myself that people have, picked up on, hopefully. And that's
Yeah.
why, they're still talking to me. They can pick up on that, is they want
Yeah.
genuine connections. They don't want someone who's copying and pasting random stuff from different parts of the internet. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what you're doing with social media? Because you're helping a few people out, and you're helping them
Yeah.
with their social media. How do you like to approach social media?
Yeah, so like I said, if you go back and you look at my social media, yeah, I had social media, but it
Right.
was pretty much just my wife tagging me in pictures and stuff like that.
Right.
Because you guys think like law enforcement, it wasn't good
No.
to have a lot of stuff out there,
No.
right?
Right.
So when I went over to Power and it was all on me, I'm like, I want to make that in the industry, at least as far as me. I want to put myself out there so
Mm-hmm.
that I can genuinely connect with people and they can see I'm a real guy versus just
Right.
somebody just trying to sell them.
Exactly.
And it's been a very vulnerable process to say the least.
Yeah.
But and some people they look at certain things I post and they get the wrong idea sometimes. But that's not necessarily the point. The point
Sure.
is really to show people my journey and just show that I'm real. And because social media can be fake, you know. So
Yeah, you're
and
telling the right person that.
so it can be fake. And I just want to be like the opposite of that. I just want
Right.
to talk to people and be real. And in the process of doing this, I've gotten decent at it. And people like, will you help me? Will you help me? Will you
That's
help
nice.
me?
Yeah.
and I did. And now it's like people like, dude, you should be charging. And I'm like, but I love doing things for free.
Right.
It's just fun. I love just giving,
Yeah.
but it can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so what really happened is I figured out a way to keep it free, but also help me at the same time, but help, so it's a kind of a convoluted kind of scheme that I created.
Scheme.
ChatGPT ChatGPT helped. So I told ChatGPT what I needed, and it was like, and I talked to it, and okay, give me this now. ChatGPT, I couldn't have had a better assistant for that project. So
There you go. Well, that's super cool. I know you're doing a lot
yeah,
of great stuff. I know you have great relationships with those that you're helping, and there's a reason that they reached out to you, right? Even if
yeah,
that wasn't like your sole business, clearly they saw something in that that made sense for them to continue being like, "Hey, can you do this as well for my business?" So I
yeah.
think that that's super awesome. Well, what is the best way people can contact you if they want to learn more about either of the hats that you wear or anything that you're doing right
Yeah,
now?
yeah, absolutely. So pretty much on all platforms. So I'm on Facebook with my personal page and my business page. They're interchangeable. I kind of merge the two. I'll put more personal stuff though, obviously on my personal page, but people feel free to contact me through my personal or the business page. But it's for my personal page, it's Solar Avenger FL.
Okay,
And then for my business page, it's the Solar Avenger. So
there
the
you go.
Solar Avenger FL and then the Solar Avenger. And then it's the same Solar Avenger FL on Instagram, Solar Avenger on TikTok, Solar Avenger on LinkedIn, Threads, it's the same.
Wow.
YouTube. Is there anything else? I don't know.
I don't know. I think you covered all the bases. Essentially,
I
what
think
I'm
so.
getting is that you're the Solar Avenger, and then that's the
I
best way people
think
can find
so.
you. I think so too. Well,
Yeah,
Thaddeus, thank you so much for the time. I'll make sure I have all of those
absolutely.
links that he mentioned, and if there's any he missed, I'll make sure I have those in the description. People can click on that a little bit easier. Copy and paste, find out what makes sense. Definitely reach out to Thaddeus. He knows a lot what he's doing, and it's super cool that we're able to continue talking and collaborating and stuff. And it's been really great having you on the podcast today, Thaddeus. Thank you so much for your time. I really
I
appreciate
really
it.
appreciate it. I
Of
really appreciate it as
course.
well.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
to everyone listening, I really appreciate you as well, and I will see you next time.